hot take. Cats are overrated.
Now I'm going to argue with you, not about cats being overrated, but how that's not a hot take.
I agree with Tyler's take.
I want to agree with you, but everybody in my life that I come in contact with would tell me otherwise. I get yelled at frequently.
I would say it's a medium rare take.
Yeah, I want it to be a cold take.
But the thing is, you've had a cat in your lifetime, correct?
I have, and I don't want to be so contrarian as to say that I hate cats. Because, like, my first cat was the best cat in the world and lived to be 19. And, like, I grew up with her.
But it was a good experience.
Yeah, it was great. But, like, all things considered, I'd still rather have a dog.
Continue.
Like, there's an episode of That 70s Show where it said, best case scenario, you get the greatest cat in the world, it still craps in your house. And, like, that's the problem. It's just a tenant that is disrespectful. It's like having a bad roommate.
I agree. No, I just all feelings that I have. There's no argument here.
But I get yelled at so often by everybody for these thoughts.
I also have a weird feeling that some of these people, like, are the people who yell at you, do they own cats?
Yes.
Then they're weird because
they want me to want a cat.
I've always had
this... Is cat owning a cult?
I think it is. I mean, because, like, there's cat lady, old cat.
Can we convert you to cat owner?
Catism?
Wait. Catechism?
Catechism. Let's live in the catechism. Yeah, medium take, I would say. But also just, like, I only say this because I used to be one of those people. I'm like, I love cats. And then I hung out with a cat, and then I'm like, I hate cats. I remember when I told myself, if I ever get my own place, I'll get a cat, and then when I get married, I'll have a dog. Then I realized I don't want either.
Yeah. I'd like a dog, but, like, I couldn't take care of a dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think here, this is not a hot take, and I think this is a safe space.
Very accepting, Chris.
We care for you, Chris.
Thank you. Let's pray. Hey guys, welcome back. I wanted to talk today about weird places that we encounter God or see God or experience God or any other synonym that I'm looking for.
I like cinnamon.
I'm more of a nutmeg fan myself, but...
That's pretty good. Because I think there's a lot of traditional ways that you encounter God, like praying, reading the Bible. You know, those are all good, like going to church and worshiping. But I think we're all wired differently, and there's ways that we kind of see God or, like, weird things that just bring about, like, questions or new ways of thinking about God. So I just kind of wanted to bring some of those up, because life is weird, and God shows up in really weird places. And I think I'll start, because one thing that came to my mind when I was writing this episode is I like to play Civilization, the computer game, specifically Civ 3, where you, like, build a civilization and you have to, like, micromanage it and have your workers, like, irrigate and stuff, build cities.
And make the people happy.
Right, you need people to be
happy. Is happiness actually a component in Civ 3? I actually have no idea.
It is,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Your cities riot and they destroy things if they're not happy.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so then you build and you have, like, a culture, and then you go to war with other countries, and, like, it's wicked fun. And I forget to eat when I'm playing it because it's addictive. But
it's the concept of it's the whole thing of just one more turn, just one more turn,
exactly,
just one more turn.
And those turns can last anywhere from, like, a minute to 20, depending on what you're doing. And so when I play, for some reason, it just makes me hyper aware of the human condition, and, like, because you start off at the beginning of the game learning, like, your technology is like the wheel, and, like, developing an alphabet and bronze working, and you move throughout the game and you learn, like, monotheism and, like, economics, and then, like, industrialization, and then, like, nuclear fission and stuff, and the whole time it's like the world is just getting worse and finding new ways to attack and kill each other. And maybe it's too real. I don't know.
I just got really sad
about
that.
Yeah, and, like, There's also a setting that I do sometimes where you can control other countries and their units, and it's totally cheating, but it's fun. And I just imagine that I'm some sort of deity. And, like, it makes me realize that I would be a really bad god. Because, like, as soon as a country attacks me, I just ruin them. And then I'm like, I'm going to let you live, though, and give you another chance. But it's computer AI, so they attack me again. And then I just destroy them out of anger. And, like, I think...
A wrathful deity.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think about how, like, that's really not how our God is. And how he gave Israel, like, infinite chances and gives us infinite chances, even though we don't deserve them. And I'm probably looking way too far into it. But, like, every time I play, I think about, like, oh, like, because Rome is one of the civilizations, and that's obviously key to, like, New Testament. And I don't know, it totally makes me just ponder the entirety of human existence and, like, history, and I always want to read the Bible after I play. So.
I guess it's good.
Right?
It sounds like a spiritual journey in itself. It's just like, oh, just one game, and then you're like, oh, God, where are you?
Right?
Just out of curiosity, what country do you usually play as? Or nation?
Usually, sometimes I play as the Ottomans because they have a really good unit with pistols. But I recently modded in Singapore for, obvious reasons. My girlfriend's Singaporean, and so I play as them sometimes, and I'm learning all the names of, like, the cities in Singapore. So.
Oh, that's actually really sweet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my weird experience.
I can go. One that I think of, and I don't have a great example. I wish I had a better example of this, so I apologize for that. But I am a little bit of a productivity obsessive person.
No.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Just a little.
And so when, like, things really work well, like when things are, like, really productive and, like, like, oh, someone really put a lot of thought into that system and, like, it works really well, I'm like, that's God right there. There it is. I just now thought of an example. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm going to because I can. I, like, assembled this, like, worship planning thing and, like, this Excel sheet, which I'm not that great in Excel, but I did this whole thing and, like, did this, like, worksheets where you can, like, select songs and it, like, chooses the key and puts in, like, the CCLI number and all that information.
Very convenient.
And so it's super convenient. And, like, I didn't in this necessary moment be like, that's God. But I was like, wow, those systems, like, make worship planning and doing other things easier. And, like, that is a direct reflection of other people's worship. And so, like, that's kind of a concrete example of, like, oh, me doing good on this, doing well, and, like, worshiping God in this sense is, like, then having positive effects on other people's worship. So, like, that's kind of an example of that. I guess also just, like, excellence, like, doing things well is always, like, is an act of worship in some ways.
Yeah. Because you're, like, removing barriers of people experiencing God. It's like they don't have to worry about, like, the technology not working or, like, things not being done right.
Right. But also like in your own life too, like doing things well in your own life. Like maybe that doesn't affect anybody else's worship, but, like, that still can be an act of worship in some ways.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really have a great example of that either, but just, like, doing things, like, with intentionality and, like, for the purpose of, like, not just getting it done, but doing it to the best of your ability. I think probably for me is probably the weird way to see God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any super specific examples. But yeah, like I've always loved Gears because they always, like, line up so well. So, like, those very satisfying things.
Yeah.
You know those videos that are they're like animations, but
The
they're, like,
infinite loop ones.
yeah. Oh, those are so
Those
good.
are satisfying.
Like, just imagine those videos, but in real life. That's how I see God.
That's funny.
I think I had a hard time because I think with this prompt, I was just like, oh, I want to find a weird place, right? Like, like the back alley of, like, some random place in Chinatown, and I'm like, I couldn't think of something. But oddly enough, yesterday I reinstalled Fortnite. This is not a moment of pride. This is actually a moment of relapse. I'm sorry. I just was that bored, and I was like, I don't know what to play.
I wanted to see the dances.
I be flossing.
I'm going to cry. But I was randomly reminded, just in this moment, because you were talking about video games and like things working out. I thought back a few years ago when Fortnite was a lot more popular with everyone. I decided to play with some church friends, which then bled into playing with some of my former summer camp students. And the wild thing to me is that all of those kids are still connected because of the summer camp that our church held. And just to see, like, granted, I don't believe that they're like still talking to each other about God and everything. But the beautiful thing is that they came together because of like that faith, because of people who wanted them to come together to enjoy the summer camp. And it was just wild to me because every time I look at these guys, they're also different. One is very good with technology and enjoys like just tech, like a very nerdy kid. Two of them are like the equivalent of like really like Asian Chads. Oh my gosh, I saw a picture of one of them recently and they're so buff and I was just like, I am so sad right now. And then one of them is like kind of off on his own, like truly from like China, like a true inner city kid and everything. But just to see that at that time they were all interacting on the same Discord, like hitting each other up, playing, and inviting me to join. So I would be playing with these guys, and it was just weird because it was just like, oh, Mr. Sue, like come back and join us and play with us and everything. And I'm like, okay, but just like seeing like how like relationships, like how God uses relationships to even connect people of like different backgrounds, I think is just really amazing. And it's just, I think it's weird too because like for instance, like the three of us, I think in another life, I don't know if we would interact. That's the reality. I'm very invested in Asian communities and everything, and I would never imagine in my life I would live with a white dude. And it's been the best time of my life. I live with three. All in all, it's just like, I think that's a really strange place. Just seeing like how certain friendships would not have happened if it were not for like faith. So I think that's kind of my thing, you know. And also just to admit that I've been playing Fortnite again.
We're here for you.
Thank you.
Hot shake.
Excuse me. I heard that I was listening to an interview with Porter Robinson, and he was saying his album Worlds was partially inspired by like online communities that had like RuneScape and stuff that had disappeared, and how there's like literally this virtual like world and community that was just like lost, and that's super weird, but also it is a legitimate thing. Like people connect through that.
And if we want to relate back to that, I think it's like the desire of relationships, right? How God like has the ability to create communities and have people just connect because they're seeking something. Thinking this is not 100% related, but I have a friend. She used to partake a lot in MapleStory.
Ooh, I never played MapleStory.
MapleStory.
I played until level 8, and then everyone's like, okay, you have to invest points into this if you want to do that. And I'm like, you lost me there. Same with RuneScape. I played till level 3, and I was like, I have no idea what I do from onwards. I'm also not much of an online gamer with like big communities. I'm very like lone wolf, sniper. But going back to that, she actually had a MapleStory like the people in their guild actually reconnected like 10, 15 years down the line. And like they had a Facebook group just to like see where everyone was at. And the beautiful thing is that all of them were invested into like creating videos and art and everything. And a lot of them became creators down the road just because of like that community that brought them all together when they were in their youth. So it's wild, like just to see how things can happen like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess the point I'm making is we should always be listening, always be looking. You never know where God's going to show up. Well, I mean, he shows up everywhere, but you never know where you're going to notice it.
Yeah, like, don't put your worship blinders on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, don't think that.
Yeah.
You know, prayer, scripture, like worship music, hymns,
Right.
Are the only type of worship
There's not an
out
organ.
there. If there's no organ, that's not worship.
Yeah.
If it's not King James,
Yeah, dude.
it's not worship.
Yeah, we're going back to
Yeah, that's what's happening here.
the goest thou.
Bacchus?
Bacchus.
I gotta brush up on my Anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out our show notes down below. Click all those fun links to subscribe. Hit the little notification bell. That helps us out a lot. Check out our social media channels, and thanks for listening. We out.
Yeah.
Wow, guys. Is this even in focus? Thanks, guys, for watching. Check out our previous episodes over here in this clothes hanging area. And yeah, please feel free to subscribe. Check out our Instagram over here as well and in the description. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.